what they stand for. And that has been in the public space for some time. In fact, many persons have said it appears there is no more clear ideology for political parties. Politically inclined persons just come together, to run for office. And when they get there, you can't really pinpoint what they stand for. They just move with the flow, either from the ruling party to the opposition parties. Some use the vehicle of opposition party, the kind of movement, to get into power, and they still go to the ruling party at the center, crisscrossing all over the place, which is not illegal, by the way, if it is done rightly, according to the law. But it appears like the political parties are just there. And one very vocal voice is that of Nasir El Rufai, a two-term governor of Kaduna State and former minister, who was in the CPC before he moved to the APC, a founding member of the APC, who carpeted almost all the big political parties in Nigeria. In fact, he said the PDP that's supposed to be providing leadership that had most of the politicians who fought for democracy in 1998-1999 at the advent of this republic, to say most of them are not there again, and the ones that are there, it seems there are mercenaries there that are hell-bent on destroying that party. Talking about PDP, he carpeted his own APC as well and say he's a founding member, was and is still a founding member, but he can't recognize the APC that we currently have. He said the Labour Party too, it's not left behind. He said a lot of things. We have a stakeholder that will be looking into that for us. But, you need to get a hang of what Nasir El Rufai said at that forum, and then we'll continue. Just stay with us and take a look.
What is the state of political parties today? I will give my own views of what I have seen in the last 2 years. The PDP, which is one of the largest and perhaps the oldest political party in this republic, is clearly targeted for destruction. It's a matter of time. There are internal mercenaries in the PDP that have been hired, paid, or otherwise motivated to destroy the party. So the party is on its way to the grave. Okay? And it's most unfortunate. But today, none of the founding fathers of the PDP can recognize it. Labour Party, again, targeted for destruction. And it's almost certain. The last time I had a conversation with Peter Obi himself, he admitted to me that he doesn't know what is happening in the party that he contested for president. So there seems to be a project to destroy all the opposition political parties. And the only option for the opposition, in my view, is to put aside their differences and come together and create a broad platform that will do the driving of the military again, because we are there almost. And we're successful in it. So why the APC today? I don't recognize it, as I said. It has left me behind. I still believe that the purpose of political contestation in Nigeria still remains revamping the economy, restoring security, and fighting corruption. The problems are still there. However, I no longer believe that my party believes in confronting those problems.
All right, you heard him. Part of what he said was quite a lengthy, submission by Nasir El Rufai at that forum, almost 20-25 minutes of talking. But then we have with us public affairs analyst par excellence, and of course the DJ at the Heritage Center, Dr. Kachan Onuju. He joins us virtually. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, and good morning to you and your audience. I'm very happy that you're having me.
All right, thank you.
I've had Mr. El Rufai. I want you to understand El Rufai is part of the cooks who prepared the current food. and who got us to where we are. El Rufai worked alongside the Buhari administration when they arrested and forced from office Justice Onogen. The removal of Justice Onogen at that time by the Buhari administration was what gave them the chance to capture the judiciary. And as we said, those were one of the protocols of state capture, seize the judiciary, use, as Mr. El Rufai did, the structures of coercion in the hands of those with gun, in this case, the security services, to coax everybody into agreement. And of course, when we talk, they say, go to court. So that's when that thing was installed. It's not today, no. It happened when Onogen, Justice Onogen, was forcefully removed and the judiciary seized. That is where it started. So Mr. El Rufai has no right to pretend like he does not know where the rain started beating us. Today, it is also Mr. El Rufai's old associate, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who represents to me the metaphor for those who refuse inclusion. It was the refusal of Abubakar Atiku for the inclusion of the Southerners, principally the Southeast, in our instrument of inclusion known as zoning, that forced me, Kachon Onuju, alongside Do Nukupe, to start our campaign. Later on, some of them told us we don't have a candidate. I knew what it took for me to convince Mr. Peter Obi, who initially did not want to challenge Mr. Atiku Abubakar. And I reminded him, I said, look, yes, you are an honest, principled gentleman. You don't want to challenge your principal, as you called him. But he is only your principal because he nominated you for vice presidency in Port Harcourt in 2019. The reasons why he nominated you was because of the enormous financial resources you lay at his disposal, which helped him to clinch the ticket to the party in 2019. That was why, without consultation, he announced you as vice presidential candidate. And of course, that didn't sit well with a lot of people like Mr. Dave Umahi, Mr. Kuremado, and quite others from the Southeast who said they were not consulted before the announcement of Peter Obi. Well, to cut it short, after we have had this agreement and argument, and I also made calls to some other leaders, like Chief Esene Okeke, Ochendo, Ndibo. I also spoke to Okwadike, Chief Ezife, former governor of Anambra State, who, after their intercession, told Peter Obi to allow me to continue doing what I was doing, because I was heavy on television in campaigning that the shift of power from the south should come to the north. I mean, to come from the south, from the north to the south. And my premise was very simple. Atiku Abubakar, when he told us in 2013 that we must respect inclusion, rotation, as being very, very, very important for the retention of the Nigerian project, he went on in that understanding to form the MPDP and then built a coalition with that MPDP of other like-minded people, and the APC was formed. It was through that APC coalition that then bettered the Buhari presidency. My argument was very simple. Atiku Abubakar, if this 8 years has been occupied by Mr. Buhari, which we believe is on behalf of the North, he should allow the power to shift to the South. And as he was arguing there, Mr. Wike jumped in saying no, that he contributed a lot into the party being this, the party being that, the party being stable, and so they was given the ticket. So in between Atiku Abubakar and Wike, Atiku outsmarted him when Atiku used 100 million to give to the party. At that time, our party didn't have good money. That 100 million he brought, it was for the payment of his nomination form. The minute he collected the nomination form, the party started spending from the 100 million. And I remember when I, with other stakeholders, went to the home of Mr. Ayo Chayu to complain to him that under his rule, the Southeast were being done out of their turn. The Southwest had gone with Prince Obasanjo. Now that it's back to the South, it should come to the old Eastern region. The Southeast stands because President Goodluck Jonathan from the South Side had already gone. But as you will have the PDP then compromised with Nepo Atiku's pocket, the man told us there in his house, Ayochayo, Kachi, I said, sir, if you people want us to really do this zoning that you are saying, Atiku Abubakar had given us 100 million, we're already spending from it. How do you wish us now to do zoning and say the Northerners should not be part of the story when we are spending for his 100 million? That was why the zoning committee didn't work. Because even when they got to the committee stage, speaking to someone like Governor Autumn and others, and they said, well, they were working with Wike. Wike said no, if the zoning was not going to come specifically and him get it as compensation for the monies he spent, he won't agree. And in all that milieu, in anger, I now told P2B, we have to start this. So that's how we started, 8 months to election. And what now became known as the youth movement, which Nigerians called the obedient movement.
All right.
Yes, I knew at the time, Chief Iwanyanwu called me of late now, God bless his memory, and said, Kachi, what you're doing, if you people are successful, this could kill our party. I said, sir, and what you people are doing, we don't have structure. I said, sir, leave the issues about structure. I can tell you, sir, that there are now 3 contestants who are of good quality in the ring. Atiku Abubakar, President Bola Tinubu, and P2B. These 3 contestants are very strong wrestlers. You don't undermine the wrestler from my own geopolitical zone, because in regards to what you are talking about, politics without principle, it is because our democracy originally is supposed to be a representative democracy. But right now, the people only represent themselves. All right. The representation was supposed to be people representing the interest of the primary constituency from which they come from. You're supposed to represent the interest of the constituency from the geography where you come from, not yourself.
Dr. Kaj,
what we're doing now.
Yes, sir. So, if I may come in, you are saying that whatever Nasir El Rufai is saying right now, that he was part of it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Nasir El Rufai was part and parcel of those who created this problem, which now culminated in us not having any viral opposition in the democracy. Why did he do that? When even the weaponization of nepotism under the Buhari administration, that was what gave most of the members in the North the impetus to think that there is no more need for inclusion of Nigerians from the southern part, or rather eastern part. The northern members of our party, they were actually strengthened by the weaponization of nepotism against everyone else.
All right.
When the nepotism of Buhari started, and we complain.
I want to come from a different angle to this. Yes. Some part of what he has said, in fact, he has carpeted all the political parties. He started with PDP and said he knows there are mercenaries that are paid to destroy that political party. And you will know, the PDP you have talked to, that you were part of, now what has become of them? There were fights at the national headquarters just 3 days ago because of national secretary position, that it has become a sham, that they are supposed to provide leadership because, of what they represented at the advent of this democracy that we have right now, from 1999 to date. He set up his own political party and said he can't even recognize them. They are a shadow of whatever their intentions were while that political party was created. He went to the LP and said, even P2B told him that he can't recognize the LP anymore. Now, all this carpeting that he has done, leaving the messenger now and talking about the message, do you see substance? Do you see substance in it?
Don't make a mistake. LP, we did not build LP. We came from the PDP. LP, when we met them, they were involved in a crisis which started from the Akwanga Convention. We simply managed them when they agreed to give us their platform, which we now use to sell Peter Obi as a presidential candidate. So the crisis bedeviled that party, and even as we ended the elections, used them to run. I will tell you, we were not members of the Labour Party.
All right.
And that's where this crisis is. We were simply members of the obedient movement. I served as a special advisor to P2B on public affairs, but I was never a member of the Labour Party. So the obedient movement is very different from the Labour Party. What we P2B had was the obedient movement. We were not owners of the Labour Party.
All right, that was what I was trying to ask, Doctor, if you allow me, that the allegation of mercenaries in the PDP and other political parties, rather, I mean, that are supposed to be, playing quality and active opposition, that they are meant for destruction. Do you think there is any substance in it?
No, what he just is referring to the current reactions of Nyesom Wike, who simply wants to mimic the actions of Atiku Abubakar, use money and force the NWC or its leadership into a compromise, and then you mess the party up. Also, in line with the damaging and destruction of the judiciary, whatever judicial pronouncements are given, don't respect it. That's what they did when they removed Onogen. That's what they did when they tell us go to court. So when you start something against the judiciary, and who told you that since you have achieved a lack of respect for judiciary, that others will not copy from you and continue from where you stopped? So this is what he is talking about. I consider Wike as a reaction. His current actions are a reaction to what was established by Atiku Abubakar. The reasons why the democracy doesn't seem to have a viral revolution are very simple. If the members led by Atiku Abubakar had allowed zoning, and the Southerners have taken that position, I know very well P2B will have been matched.
All right.
And if he had been matched and we had won the election, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
All right.
But because of who we are broken, Kwankwaso left in anger to Atiku's insistence he must run. How can you have a political party and one human being runs and runs and runs and runs and runs because you're not trying to undermine the system by using the fraudulent, lopsided creation of states by the soldiers? You see, that's why I said even the constitution bequeathed to us after Obasanjo swearing in by the soldiers, we've been trying to amend it, but because of the lopsidedness in it, those who gain advantage, who come from the north, doesn't want any amendment, and that's why we're still where we are till today. So that's why I think some of us are beginning to demand for a fundamental restructuring of the structures of balance of the country. Okay. And that's what you're seeing President Tinubu is trying to do, but it's been difficult for him. I'm a Democrat.
Okay.
I supported P2B till tomorrow. I'm very happy about what I did.
Okay.
But of course, the systems have now brought President Tinubu, and as a Democrat, we're simply forced to recognize and embrace and move on with it, and that's where we are. So you now look at how we got here.
Doctor, sorry, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yes.
Okay. I would like to ask concerning the conference that was held in Abuja about strengthening democracy and all the rest. Do you think these leaders have come together are trying to form a coalition against the sitting government?
Well, that was exactly what P2B spoke to. He said, if you want just a coalition to grab power, I'm not for that. You cannot do a coalition without remembering why we are who we are. We are now a country whose democracy is without opposition because of the refusal of the northern members to allow power to return to the south after 8 years of Buhari's administration. Don't be deceived about it. That's actually the reasons why the opposition split. If they will come back now and say, good, in regards to the main fundamental reasons why the opposition broke apart, which was when the members of the party from the east left the PDP and then started the youth movement, that was how the PDP crumbled. So if you want to bring it back, you have to do that post-mortem and then try to correct that anomaly, because anywhere you're sharing something and some people feel they're not included in that sharing mode and they walk away, there is no way you tell them, come, let us do, without recognizing why they left. So for us to repair the PDP, we need to see the northern members concede the presidency in terms of allowing that instrument of inclusion called zoning to work. If you say, come, let us form, we'll go grab power, we from the east will not join you. That's what P2B said, that he will not join any coalition for the sake of grabbing power. It is for the sake of repairing the things. Nigeria is supposed to embrace an inclusive representative democracy. If you do not represent my interest, I would not want it. This El Rufai and co were there in Buhari's government when Buhari started implementing the national gas pipeline. The southeast of Nigeria is home to 74% of the gas reserves of Nigeria. With all Imo alone, the field in Asa, in Ohaji, bearing more than 50% of the entire gas reserves in Nigeria. Yet, under El Rufai's watch, Buhari started building the gas master plan designed by Ibe Kachuku, and he excluded the southeast from having access to gas. So when you're doing this kind of things, he was there when the weaponization of nepotism against the southeast occurred. What did El Rufai say? It is because the southeast felt this excluded that we now, when we got to the election itself, we also felt excluded. We left and started the youth movement. In that youth movement, a lot of people joined us. The North Central joined us. Those whom the insecurity was affecting joined us. That's why you see a lot of people in the North Central today are not with El Rufai and his gang. So trying to go around that you're forming a new coalition without ameliorating the fears of those who left you because you are not inclusive in your sharing formula, it will not work.
Doctor, so in other words, you're trying to say that if the PDP agrees to zoning, you and your principal and the obedience movements will finally move back to the PDP.
Very simple story. If you agree not to include me in the sharing, why will I fail out? I will say thank you for not doing the right thing. Then we can now build, start talking about the way to build. You cannot build any political structure in this country.
All right.
And then have it win election,
Doctor,
including indigenous people.
We have to move. And the conversation at that place was about strengthening democracy, the roles of political parties, and, you know, the ideologies and all of those things. Now, he has given a go at the PDP, the LP, and the APC himself. Some of the handlers of the government, Daniel Bwala, to be precise, and many of them have come at him to say, will you have said this, especially about the ruling party, that you have said have not done any higher level meeting, like in 2 years? Those are the words of El Rufai, to say no NEC meeting, no highest organ level meeting at the APC. Daniel Bwala said, my senior brother, will you have, you are part of this government because he was nominated as a minister, and we know how that ended. Will you say El Rufai has always been a person of his word, or he's just been an hypocrite on this matter because he's not in this same government? Okay, all right. We understand. We have to reconnect with Dr. Kachonuju, because Daniel Bwala said, using his word, you know, my senior brother, would you have said it if actually you are part of this administration, or all of a sudden you have found your voice and you are speaking to all of these things because you are not part? You know, the National Secretary of the APC, Dr. Ajibola Bashir, popularly known as SRJ, a former senator, has responded to Nasir El Rufai as well and say he doesn't understand. Maybe El Rufai doesn't have the knowledge of how party works, and that
responded to them.
Yeah, you know, SRJ Ajibola Bashir said it's not only NEC meeting. There are like 7-9 organs of the party, and most of them have been meeting. And he even said the NEC gave his power to the NWC or vice versa to say, hey, go ahead and, you know, do whatever you have to do. So why is he saying that, you know, things are bad in the APC and I couldn't recognize the APC and all of those things? And that's the grasp of some persons to say, you were there. You were there, yeah. Under the 8 years of even, okay, as a governor of Buhari's administration, and APC, possibly by inference, was good. Less than 2 years of Buhari leaving and Tinubu coming in, all of a sudden, you can't recognize the APC again. What has happened? Well, do you need to change the lens of your Googles or what? Of your glasses, or what has happened? Because that's the grasp of many. Yes. So 8 years of Buhari, even with all the complaints, things were good. You could recognize. You could recognize. All of a sudden, you are out of power. You can't. Another person is at the end of affairs, and then you can't recognize.
That's why Bola, I would say that he has a point also, because sometimes, although El Rufai has come out to say that even during the time before Tinubu got into power, President Tinubu got into power, he already told him that he was not interested in any position. But how are we certain of that? How can we say?
But by the way, there was a forum in which Tinubu was there. I think it was after the election, maybe the election ball, the victory ball or something, in which Tinubu has to specifically call out Nasir El Rufai to say, I learned you want to go and do one thing or the other. Okay. Please stay and work with me. He said that, you know. And part of, before the election, some of those meetings that was held, especially I think it was in the US or in the UK, El Rufai and some of the lieutenants of Mr. President were there while he was being asked questions. You remember that particular forum? He will now call one of those guys to say, answer this question. It's about security, you answer. If it's about finance, you answer. And El Rufai was part of the people that answered questions at that particular forum. You know, but then politicians will always be politicians. So we hope to reconnect with Dr. Kajon Anuju to really have this conversation, you know, the back and forth with, do you have the locus to say this at this time with all the issues in the political parties? We understand Dr. Kach is back with us. And the question I was trying to ask is this, Doctor, is some have said, El Rufai, you are an hypocrite. For the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari and the APC, you could recognize the APC. Everything was fine. Just 2 years, because you are not in government, all of a sudden you can't recognize the APC and you are speaking like pontificating. Do you see him just saying the truth, or is just being hypocrite, as some have alleged? Doctor. Okay. Dr. Kash, can you hear me? Oh no. Technology is not cooperating this morning. Reliable. Yeah. Okay, we're trying to reconnect because that's one conversation this is one conversation that we should have, you know, on this line. We take a quick break right now. When we return, the program will continue. Still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Stay with us.